Important aspects of yoga are the mind-body connection, and that's a big, important part of yoga that's not known very well. So I'm going to explain three higher limbs of yoga: dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Means in English contemplation, concentration, and then meditation. The contemplation is quite important to regulate and solve any mental, emotional problems that are in your way. And once that has been settled down, resolving the issues that are bothering you, then you can concentrate on something. And with the concentration, that will lead you into a meditative state. So the contemplation at this time, because we have so many fears and worries, from the financial to the virus thing, our mind is very busy thinking and worrying, and that needs to stop in order to get to a meditative state from which it's much easier to work on healing and boosting the immune system. So I mentioned in a previous little video we did that the breathing is an important link and step between mind and body. The breathing is what controls energy flow in the nervous system, and it is this energy flow that connects mind to body. Think about it, your brain is up here, this is where you're thinking, this is where you make a decision to breathe or to do something. This is where maybe you've gathered too much information about viruses and fears about it, and you don't have the missing information about how your immune system actually works to combat these things. We have an immune system that's totally proficient and capable of dealing with all of these things, but we haven't even been taught much about it. So we live in this state of fear and uncertainty, and when something comes along, we fall prey and get sick. The mind-body connection isn't really activated, or it is activated in a very negative way by fear and worry, inhibiting the ability of the immune system to actually do its job. It works best when you are in a happy state. I mentioned this last time. Doing the chanting, singing your favorite songs, these could all be considered kind of meditative practices that you can apply. Something that makes you feel good. In the state of feeling good, the immune system does a good job. In a state of negativity, depression, worry, and fear, it is hardly functional at all. So we'll start with doing a simple concentration technique, which can lead us to meditation. Instead of thinking about anything, you focus your awareness on feeling. And then we do something that we can feel, which involves the breath. We're going to go back to this midsection breath and notice how we expand and contract. Every time we do something with our body, we are making and creating sensation. The sensation we can feel. Now, in normal Western education, we're taught to think and think and think, and we kind of don't pay much attention to feeling. This is a problem that leads to many diseases. So we focus now in yoga just with feeling what's happening. You can feel the air flowing in and out of your lungs, and you can feel your chest expanding and contracting. Let's try that a couple of times. You can place your hands on your ribs and inhale, exhale. Keep your attention here and notice when you inhale, the ribs are moving out to the sides, and when you exhale, they're coming back in. Keep your attention here. Bring it back if it drifts away. The mind will distract you with something else. Right from the center of your chest is this expanding. You're expanding in all directions and then collapsing back into the center. Feel this and continue doing the breath. See if you can do this a few times without thinking anything. You're simply noticing the sensation of expansion, contraction. Now relaxing the hands down, continue with the breath and keep bringing your attention back if it drifts away. You're feeling expansion, contraction. You're feeling air flowing in through your nose and going down into your lungs. There's a lot of sensation. We're just not used to paying attention to it. And this creates a big problem between the mind and the body. We're too disconnected. So keep the breath going. In breath and out breath. Now, feeling this breath, notice if it feels pleasant. Does it feel okay? Is it enjoyable? Although we don't usually pay attention to it, just breathing is an enjoyable sensation. From the perspective of your body, the feeling of it creates a sense of well-being. This activates the autoimmune system, which wants to take care of the well-being. Don't stop breathing because you're listening to what I say. Feel that the breath continues. You can hear and understand what I'm saying, as well as feeling the sensation of the breath. Now notice how deep you are breathing. See if you can feel a sense of gratitude for the fact that you are breathing. You're breathing deeply, it feels good. The breath is what's keeping you alive. When you are in charge of your breathing, you are in charge of your life. It is the primary control. Breathing controls the heart, the autoimmune system, bringing life into the body and preserving that life. keeping it healthy. We're bringing in oxygen to the lungs, goes into the bloodstream, and the heart pumps it all around the body. This is automatic, the connection of lungs to heart, and the purpose of heart and lungs is to deliver oxygen everywhere into the body and to eliminate carbon dioxide. In that process, the autoimmune system is in the middle of it, checking out the bloodstream, checking out the lymphatic system, looking for any unusual objects, life forms, bacteria, viruses. Feel a sense of gratitude for having this system well designed, well engineered. It's part of us, built right in with the programs that know what to do when there is a bacteria, when there is a virus. Keep the breath going deep. Notice if you can keep the sensation of the in-breath, the out-breath, as you are listening. It's a feeling. It's a positive life support feeling. For a moment, we utilize the mind and contemplate, actively thinking that the danger coming from coronavirus is that it stops you from breathing properly. Whereas if you are in charge of your breathing, going deeply in and deeply out, nothing can get in the way. It is when you lose consciousness of the breath that things get in there. And your lungs are a gateway to the world outside. We take the air from the outside, pull it into our lungs, and expel different air, more carbon dioxide. But in this flow, anything can get in, including small bacteria, viruses, etc. If we are actively exhaling everything, inhaling fresh air, the flow continues, the lungs are active, there is lymphatic movement around the lungs, there are white blood cells in there detecting anything that comes in, sending triggers to make antibodies for anything that needs to be taken care of. Back to the breath. Feel the breath. Details. Feel right from the center of your chest this expansion, contraction. Every time you do this, you're reminding your system at the subconscious level to activate, to be alive. The immune system thrives off every deep breath and goes to sleep when we are breathing in a shallow way and holding our breath out of fear. Breathing in, breathing out. Stepping one beyond the physiology of what we're doing, consider we are very well designed by an intelligence greater than human. Whichever way you see that intelligence, from a religious, spiritual perspective, whatever that be, you did not design yourself. You did not design a digestive system that knows how to digest food. You did not design your heart and cardiovascular system. It was all done by an intelligence greater than us. And this intelligence is what set up the program to keep us healthy. It's amazing. Feel a sense of gratitude, thankfulness for what we are, how well made we are. Develop even a sense of trust that the body knows how to do things. Keep the breath going, keep it deep. If any thoughts come up, shift your attention back to feeling and noticing the sensation of how deep you're breathing. And just for a moment, notice how well you are exhaling, squeezing everything out of your lungs. You're paying attention to the fact of being alive. With the breath, we enter our body, activated into life. When the breath stops, we die. We're here in the middle, and by expanding the breath, we take in more life. That comes in the form of oxygen, and a little known fact in the West is it comes in the form of prana. Okay, to go with the breath, we're going to add body motion. Now in yoga, the body motion is another form of concentration. You're again feeling the body as you move it. There's nothing to think about. This is a direct experience of the body in motion. And we're going to connect movement of the body with movement of the breath, synchronizing both of them. This activates circulation. It brings more circulation of a secondary system called the lymphatic system. This is the one that carries most of the lymphocytes, which are the white blood cells. This moves through the body when we move. When we're not moving, it stops moving. It requires the movement. Does not have a heart pumping it. It relies on body motion, and this is the part that sweeps through the whole body, checking things out, looking for debris, scanning for viruses and bacteria and anything which does not belong in us. So we're going to go into a simple position on all fours. I'll go a little bit sideways so you can see more clearly how I'm moving. I'm going to drop the body downwards and breathe in as I do this, partly because in this position your lungs have maximum capacity. On the exhalation, I'm arching the back up, which actually compresses the chest and helps to eliminate the air. Breathing in like this, and breathing out here. Breathing in as deeply as you can, and breathing out, squeezing all the air out. This is simple and easy to do for anyone. You can have a certain amount of padding under you, a comfortable yoga mat or cushions. Make it comfortable. So at any age you can actually do this. And you can do it with children to start them breathing, make their autoimmune system stronger and healthier right from an early age. They like this. It's a tiger pose. You can make a game out of it. So you can do this for as many minutes as you like. For now, let's come back to a sitting position. And your sitting position, again, can be whatever you're comfortable with. You can use cushions and props. You can do some of this sitting in a chair if you like. We've worked with the midsection. Now we're going to come into the upper section, which is a rising and falling of the chest. And up in this area, we have a lot of what are called lymph nodes, which are places where the lymph is scanned, observed, filtered, and there are usually a series of white blood cells that are in there looking at what's in the lymph. And if they detect any viruses, they send signals back to the whole autoimmune system that then figure out what to do, which generally involves creation of some kind of an antibody if it's a new bug or new virus, and coronavirus has a slightly different molecular structure than others, so we need to figure out a new antibody to take care of it. So this action of moving up and down, and we can exaggerate it by moving the shoulders, it creates more circulation of the lymphatic fluid through the lymph nodes to activate this whole system that checks in, measures, finds out what's in there, and makes a counter bacteria, a counter bug. It counteracts whatever's in us that needs to be eliminated. Generally, antibodies. We make thousands of different antibodies for every bug that we come in contact with. So this is a new one. We make a new antibody. Bring your shoulders up with the in-breath. Back down, exhale. Lift, in-breath. Feel that you are synchronizing the movement with the in-breath and out-breath. Now we're going to go sideways a little bit and change the movement so that instead of going just up and down, we're going back and forth. When we bring the shoulders back, we're opening up the chest. This creates an opening inside, in behind the sternum where we have the thymus gland, and it stretches it, opens it up. And on the exhalation, we bring the shoulders forward, compressing the whole area. When you expand and compress things on the inside, you're creating an internal massage with a pressure and release that helps flush out whichever gland or organ, in this case, the thymus gland. So we're helping to circulate everything inside the gland itself, bring it back to life. This gland in many adults has gone quite dormant because in childhood it has already figured out most of the bugs and bacteria in your environment, and it doesn't need to create more antibodies. Now we need to revive it, bring it back to life, because we're in a global stage where we travel and things get circulated all around the world. The coronavirus is a new type of bug. We need to activate the gland and make an antibody. So let's take the shoulders back, in breath, forward, out breath. I'm also adding some torso movement of coming up and bending a little bit backwards. This again, we're dealing with circulation, bringing more oxygen into the lungs, into the bloodstream, and then circulation of the blood, circulation of the lymphatic system, and lymphocytes, which are there to take care of our health. And you can be playful with this. Don't be rigid. Don't think you're maybe doing it wrong. Just play around. Get as much movement as you feel you can get as you're doing this. This is simple. It's not complicated or advanced yoga. But it is incredibly effective and beneficial for your autoimmune system. The simple motions, the simple movements in yoga are some of the most beneficial and healthy, never mind the advanced, complicated poses. For your health, stick with the simplicity, deep breathing being the key, synchronizing the breath to the motion being the secondary key. The breath brings the oxygen and the prana in. The motion stimulates circulation of everything, including the lymphatic fluids, and that fluid is everywhere in between every cell in your body. It's like they're all floating in this fluid. It's the go-between from the blood to the cells, and it's in every gland and organ, including the thymus gland here in your upper chest or middle of your chest. So we do a simple twisting motion, synchronizing the breath. It's inhalation straight forward, and as we exhale, we're twisting ourselves around, squeezing all the air out. In breath, coming back to center, going to the other side. So think of if you've ever washed dishes and you use a dishcloth, you take it out of the water and you wrap it up and you wring it out. This is what we're doing. So we're squeezing everything out of this area, and then we open up, come back to center, expand, and all the organs, the gland, the thymus gland has been squeezed out and comes back here. You have fresh blood and lymphatic fluid going into it, more prana, more oxygen, and when we go around, squeezing out the carbon dioxide and any other debris from cellular metabolism. Our cells are creating pollution, exhaust fumes all the time, carbon dioxide being the main one, and the breathing is how we let it out, exhale it. The in-breath brings in fresh oxygen to the bloodstream, all around the body. If we keep this going all the time, we maintain healthy status. Okay, let's stop and come into something a little bit more empowering. A classical technique called Nisarga Bhastrika, which is centered right in this area. It brings more strength and power into the heart, the lungs, and the thymus gland, which needs to have a certain amount of power to deal with the present situation. So with the midsection, you can be measuring and hands on your ribs. And on the out breath, you do it faster, you squeeze it out, the inhalation is a little more relaxed and you're getting as full of breath as you can, and you squeeze out more dramatically and forcefully, like this. Keep it going. If you haven't done this before, you need to strengthen all the intercostal muscles that are actually doing the work. It should become easy with a certain amount of time, and if you practice this every day, it gets easier every day. Every day you do this, add a few more deep breaths, a few more empowering breaths. Okay? Now we do another motion to enhance this circulation of lymphatic fluid through all the lymph nodes. Remember, if you've had any study of physiology, anatomy, a lot of lymph nodes are in this area. Scanning all the lymph that's coming up from the body and from the arms, then the lymph goes back into the bloodstream. It's the same liquid in your blood and in the lymphatic system. In your bloodstream, it's packed with red blood cells, and in the lymphatic system, no, but white blood cells are there. So both of these systems needs to circulate. So for this, we're going to go into a simple, can be sitting on your heels. Again, if you're not used to this, you can use a cushion and you're sitting on something. Make it comfortable for yourself. This is not a torture session. Sitting some way that you are comfortable. Then you lean forward and take your hands out, and your hands are lifted up onto your fingertips, stretching your shoulders. Your arms and shoulders are being pulled out and away from you. You're opening up this area, and we come into the upper section breath in this position, and you feel this expansion, contraction. This is one of the most effective ways of circulating the lymph through the lymph nodes and back into the bloodstream. And it's this passage of the lymph through the lymph nodes that your body uses this to scan all the lymph and see anything that's in there. So if you have any kind of a virus, it's going to be seen, and your body will take appropriate action to create an antibody, a macrophage, a killer T cell, whatever it needs to take care of the situation. Trust in this process. It has been working for us for thousands and thousands of years without any kind of drug or medical intervention. So let's go with this. Hands out. Stretch your arms, pull them out and away from you, hands to the edge of your mat on each side. You can relax your head down and breathe in, breathe out. Feel this expansion, contraction. Your concentration remains on feeling. There's nothing to think about. Feel expansion, contraction. Visualize, if you want, if you can, that you are moving the lymphatic fluid with this motion of expansion, contraction. It's like a big pump, like your heart, expanding, contracting. This is the pump. We are using the breath as the pump for the lymphatic fluid. This is what's activating the whole lymphatic system, which is the essence of the autoimmune system. It all functions through the lymph. So feel this expansion, contraction. Now observe if you have this pleasant sense of what you're doing, and if you trust in the way the universe has designed you, to take care of these things, design the whole autoimmune system, an immensely complex system that requires our cooperation. So feel this expansion, contraction. We did it by raising the shoulders up and down, moving them back and forth, and finally we're doing it in this position here. So when you're ready, again, you can do this for an extended period of time. It's a relaxed position, not strenuous. You can do it several times a day. Just go back to one of these positions. If you find your mind is getting too active, worrying a little bit, you just listen to some news about someone else being infected. Hey, come back to feeling yourself in this moment. Keep the breath going. Another little aspect of the breath that few people know about. In some studies done back in the 80s, they studied over 100,000 old folk, people like me who are aging. And they noticed that the older a person gets, the less they breathe. And because they breathe less, the cells and different glands and organs begin deteriorating because they need the oxygen to rejuvenate. After, in the conclusion of the study, they admitted that they did not know and they could not tell if it was because the person was aging that they breathed less or because they breathed less that they were aging. I thought this is a very important point, and everyone should know this. And it stimulated me and inspired me to breathe more deeply, more often. And as I have mentioned before, at present age 71, I have no health issues whatsoever. I feel the same as I did when I was in my 20s. So connection of the breath to youthfulness, to the empowerment of glands and organs, and in this case, we're using the breath to reactivate our autoimmune system. And I guarantee if you do these practices, it will work. Take the power of your breath, keep it. Keep your breath strong and deep, and no little invisible virus is going to be able to stop you from breathing. So remain conscious of your breath. And you can take the deep breaths many times a day. Take a breathing break. It's superior to a coffee break. It will keep you alive much longer. It will keep your immune system active. Now just sit for a moment, close your eyes, feel the breath, and feel the pleasantness of breathing. Now with this breath, take a very full breath. See if you can lock it in. This is called a kumbhaka in yoga. It means essentially a breath retention. So take a few deep breaths and then one very deep breath, lock it in and relax everything. See how that feels. Let it go whenever you feel like doing that. Take another few breaths. very deep. Every time you exhale, squeeze everything out. And now lock another one in. Very full breath, as deep as you can. Lock in, and on the lock, relax your chest and shoulders without letting the air out. Then just feel. You might feel a sense of peacefulness, relaxation, without thinking. Even if it's just momentary, this is really good for you. So practice this any time of day, as many times. Just take a few minutes again for a breathing break. We tend to forget as we go into our busy day. We forget to breathe for longer periods of time. So again, take the breathing breaks. When your body reminds you and you remember, oh, I haven't been breathing. Stop and take a dozen deep breaths and then carry on. One more little thing to contemplate. This is active mind thinking about the coronavirus is affecting hundreds of thousands of people. 80% of them have very mild symptoms, a little bit of a fever, some coughing, might feel that they need to breathe a bit more than they are. 80% of the people go that far and then it's over. Another 10% have a little bit more difficulty and it's a struggle and maybe they need a little bit of help, but this couldn't be the help. Just show them how to breathe, help them to breathe, and that will take care of it. Another 5% get more seriously ill and need critical attention. So 80% very mild symptoms. That's telling us that their immune system is working because it takes care of it, creates an antibody, the virus is cleaned out, and the game is over. Here on the island, again, there's one case only of coronavirus. Then the woman who had it recovered in 2 days, and it was all over. So think of these positive sides. The news out there is filling us with so many people dying everywhere, but no more than people dying in car accidents. So we don't hear that in the news every day. So think positive, realize we are capable of taking care of this. Okay? That is it for today. Put these things into practice, and we wish you all the best.